Hey there, everybody. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. We're coming to the end of dry January for some of you, but for us, we don't do dry January. We do wet January. So we got another beer review coming up, and after the last couple, we've kind of gone onto like the later side of beers, and this week we're going back to something on to the darkness side.
Touching you, touching me, touching you, God, you're touching me.
No, not that darkness, but we're going back to kind of a dark style of beer. Yeah, our last time was a little bit dark, but it's not in the porter and stout, and we're bringing back a porter this time, and we're going to go ahead and bring it up. Kind of would fit more for Christmas time, but we're still in winter time, so it still counts for what we got going on. So we'll go ahead and get it all set up, and we'll come back and we'll get it start to pour. As I said, we got a nice dark beer. Hopefully it should be pretty dark based upon with what it is for this week's beer review. And for this week, we got from Hardywood, we have their Gingerbread Porter. This is an imperial porter with ginger, vanilla, cinnamon, and honey. Sorry, I had to cheat and look at the the can, trying to remember everything that was in there. This one is, I guess, for any of you that are lactose intolerant, you can drink this because they have brewed this without any of their milk sugars. If you got lactose problems, you might have a beer for you. So, whatever. But, like I said, as you can see, why I said kind of fits into maybe, kind of the Christmas time. We're still winter time. It's still cold. It's under 32 degrees here today. So we're going to count it, And again, it's one that I saw while cruising through State Line, and it kind of struck me. I know I did like a peppermint porter last year that did not sit well. So we'll see if the gingerbread porter makes it, or if it makes me want to run as fast as I can, because I sure ain't the gingerbread man.
Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
So, we'll go ahead and we'll, nope, we got to do up because it's Bagel and Booze. We got to do the more you know moment. And this week's The More You Know moment is none other than, I've seen you've been doing pretty good with this, tying them directly into the beverages we're reviewing, and we're doing gingerbread. This surprised me big time, is that gingerbread is thought to have originated sometime around 2400 BC in ancient Greece. I should say the kind of gingerbread in the fashion that we kind of resemble it today. But with that, the Chinese are, thought to have developed recipes not until about the 10th century AD, and they are also the first ones that have cultivated it, first using it as a medical treatment. Gingerbread itself doesn't make it to Europe until about another 100 years later in the 11th century, when it's thought that Crusaders first brought it back from the Middle East for the aristocrats, cooks to try to experiment. It's something fancy that they had not had in Europe. During the Middle Ages, Europeans start to develop their own recipes away from the other ones that have been out there. And strangely, in kind of looking at stuff, that the earliest like English recipe that it kind of is out there, and even other ones, they don't contain ginger whatsoever. They're just gingerbread in that fashion, doesn't contain anything. Back at that time of the age, it's made with honey, saffron, pepper, and like grated bread, I guess, breadcrumbs if you want to call it. You kind of mix that into like a hard paste, form it into a square, and then you sprinkle cinnamon on it. This would create like these type of hard cookies that Europeans would enjoy at the fairs during the medieval times through England and France and Holland and Germany. Combine my two countries there. And it's in fact that In medieval England, gingerbread back at that time just simply meant preserved ginger. It had nothing to do with gingerbread as like a sweet treat or anything. That you don't get until about the 15th century, and that's when it first comes to be applied broadly to any type of sweet treat that exists out there. That and with that, what they do is they combine it, and it means with ginger combined with honey, or I'm going to butcher this, treacle, which is like a kind of a precursor to molasses. It all fits into that thick, gooey, syrupy type stuff. And then at this point in time, this is when gingerbread kind of gets into that kind of sweetness side, and it's served as a sweetmeat at the end of a meal, as part of the what they call the void course, which is usually used to aid in digestion or sweeten your breath, because back then things were pretty rank, so you take any spices and what have you to kind of help you out. It's not until the 16th century where we really start to see gingerbread come into kind of the forms that we know of it today, of that sweetness and that, well, we already said it kind of got that sweetness, but of some of the kind of forms that we are kind of associated with. The biggest one is probably, we just passed it, Christmas time, gingerbread houses. Germans are thought to have originated the gingerbread house, and the other big, huge, again, we're talking about this well after Christmas, and we should have did this before Christmas, but whatever, is that the gingerbread man, this comes out of the court of Elizabeth I. And the popular belief off of this is that she had formed these types of ginger men. They were popular at that time. Again, they've been serving these since early medieval times with the fairs, and they would be cut into different shapes and cut, figures and things like that. But what she had popularized it with was she made them and decorated them to look like visiting dignitaries. So, it kind of, if the royalty's doing it, then obviously that trickles down, and it kind of blew up during her reign, and we kind of know with what those are today. So much out of that. There's obviously been little tweaks and turns on it, but basically gingerbread in and of itself, it's pretty old. Didn't realize that. So, and as we've come to find out on some of the other things, there are national days for pretty much everything. And this one surprised me too, in the fact that National Gingerbread Day is not celebrated during wintertime. It's actually celebrated in the middle of the summer on June 5th. There is a National Gingerbread Cookie / Man Day, or whatever you want to call it. That one gets us a little closer. We're still not there. We're in Thanksgiving time, and it's November 21st. We don't get until Christmas time for National Gingerbread House Day, which is celebrated on December 12th. So there you go. Whether you choose to want to know about it, there's your little bit of history about gingerbread, and just how old it was, and gingerbread wasn't always the gingerbread we know. So
I drink and I know things.
So as you can see, we got everything all poured out. So it definitely is set up nice and dark with this. We got kind of that typical kind of nice caramel type head that we get off of some of our porters and stouts. As I was pouring it out, the one flavor that isn't listed on the front of the label is that apparently this is also hefty with chocolate notes to it. And then obviously they say it on the back that they mix it in with a very malty type of flavor, which again we would expect out of our porter. And then obviously infused with all the various other spices. So we're going to go ahead and get that moved around, and we'll give it the old sniff test, and we'll give it the old drink test to see how it sets up. Right off the bat, I'm not getting any of the chocolate. I get some of the spices. I get some of the nutmeg. I get in there. Get some cinnamon, but nothing's really overpowering off of the initial smell test. So we'll go ahead and see how it sets up sipping. It's an interesting kind of profile. I get a little bit of actually I'm not getting much of anything that really kind of stands out. It's definitely on the beery side. I don't know how else to put it. Based upon with everything that they kind of said between the chocolate, cinnamon, vanilla, you know, the ginger, you know, I'm not really getting any one of those flavors coming through. Nothing's dominating out of the documented flavor profiles. I guess take that for what it is. But like I said, I kind of expected a little bit more. It's a little bland. Unfortunately, nothing's really jumping out at me. I guess I have to say I'm a little disappointed in this beer. I had high hopes for it. I kind of expected a little bit of a Christmas cookie kind of mixed in, which would have been great with the that maltiness of the of the porter, but it's just not doing much for me. As I continue to sit here and drink it, um, you know, it's drinkable, but it's not anything that's writing home. We'll give it off, because as much as I not want to, we'll give it a two. Um, because again, it's not really doing anything for me. I guess if I got a little bit more of kind of the flavor, like a flavor profile that come through, probably would rate it maybe at a three. But at this point, it's just there's not a lot to it. Honestly, I know that might upset some people if you like this brewery, you've had it. But for me, it's just not doing much. I can drink it, but as far as like a Christmas, winter type beer, um, I expect a lot more like spice profile coming forward on everything, and this one just doesn't have it. We're about half done, so that means it's time for Will It Chug? We're gonna find out if it chugs, if I can chug it, and if we get any different. If I change rating off of different, knock it up a point, up a couple points, or even knock it down further. So let's chug out and figure out how it tastes afterwards. So bottoms up. Woo. So obviously we could chug it. It was a little difficult at the end. Um, yeah, I'm definitely getting a whole rush of flavor that comes in just as we do, with some of the other ones. But it's oh, it's it's not a good rush forward like we got on some of the other ones. Like we chugged our raspberry sour, which kind of really brought out some of the raspberry. Um, I can't even begin to tell you what the flavor mix that I just kind of tasted in the back of my mouth. So it definitely does nothing good for it. That general just blah, it kind of. I guess I didn't finish chugging. I got a tiny little bit left, but you know, it it just didn't improve it. Didn't do anything for it, and like I said, it just did a whole hodgepodge of mishmash when we chugged it. So definitely doesn't raise any points. I'm not going to deduct any points off of it, but with that, this is done. I'm done. We're done. So I thank you again for tuning in for another edition of Bagel and Booze, and we will catch you for another review. Thanks, guys.